If you're new here, I'm Kenya. This is Empowerment Clique, and it's just a space to dig deep, check yourself, and of course, build the life that you want to so happen to be in. If that makes any sense. But anyway, now before we get into it, you already know what time it is. So vibe check. How are you showing up today? Like for real. What's one word to describe your current mood? All right, let's get into it. So today I wanted to start a new series that I want to call across the shelf the self-check method questions. The goal is to, and my focus is of course every Friday or every week, bring you like 5 thought-provoking questions on different topics from boundaries, relationships, your career, purposes, all that. But today we're starting with the foundation of self-identity. Listen, a lot of us can't even answer, tell me about yourself without stumbling. And it's not because you're not deep or you're not interesting. It's because many of us were never taught how to actually know ourselves. We were taught to perform, to fit in, to be who other people needed. But who are you when nobody's grading you, or judging, or needing something from you? That's what this is. Like, these questions aren't meant to be easy. Some might make you uncomfortable. Good. I want that. 'Cause that's where growth lives, right there. And if you've been rocking with me for the last month or two, especially on YouTube, you know my 4 pillars: attitude, self-worth, gratitude, and legacy. So these questions will like touch on all of them, especially the self-worth, because you can't fully value yourself if you don't truly, you got it, know yourself. So here's the thing, what I need you to do. It's simple. Grab your journal, grab something to drink. I have mine. Take a deep breath. And let's dive in to question 1. What do people misunderstand about you most often? So, with this question, about this isn't about defending yourself or proving people wrong. This is about the gap between who you know you are and what people see. When you can name that gap, you start to understand yourself better. You might realize you're more sensitive than people think, maybe more ambitious. You might be introverted. Just a silly person like myself. Whatever it is, knowing what gets missed, it helps a whole lot more, and it helps you know what's really true. Question 2. If you couldn't use your job title, relationship status, or where you're from, how would you describe yourself? Hmm. So, what I'm really asking here is, we lean on labels like hard. I'm a teacher, I'm a therapist, I'm a wife, I'm from Harlem. But let's think about that. What if all that gets stripped away? Who are you? This question is to focus you to think about your personality, like your values, what makes you tick. It's uncomfortable because you're so used to these shortcuts. But think deeper. Your identity is way deeper than your resume and, wow, your zip code. Yeah. So let's go on that. Question 3. What will you do or be if you knew no one would judge you? Wow. So this reveals what you're hiding or holding back because of fear of being judged, being made fun of for being seen. That is that a right career? Is that a right path? You know, I've always said, do what you love and the rest will always follow. So the answer or your answer should show you what part of your identity you've been suppressing. You know, maybe you like to dress different. You know, maybe you want to pursue a whole different career. Maybe you want to speak up more or speak up less. Whatever comes up, think of it as the real part of you. It's been muffled from other people's opinions. And sometimes that opinions start with your family first. Question 4. When do you feel most like yourself? What I'm really asking is this. Not when are you happiest, but when do you feel most authentic? Is it when you're alone, around certain people, doing a specific activity, creating something? How about when you're having those deep conversations? This tells you what environments and situations bring out of your true self. And if you can't answer this easily, that's information too. It might mean you haven't given yourself permission to be yourself in quite some time. Question number 5. What about yourself are you still trying to accept? This question will deal with we all have parts of ourselves we've been wrestling with. Maybe it's your ambition, your needs for a long time, your body, your past, your personality traits. Naming what you're still working to accept is part of knowing who you are. You can't fully know yourself if you're pretending certain parts don't exist or don't matter. I want to end this with just knowing that it will take time to choose what question best fit. You may find all 5 of them to resonate. You may just find one of them to resonate. If you can answer all 5 of them with a breeze, then congratulations, you have passed. If you find yourself sitting there and having to think hard and find the words to say, then I would love to hear more about what grasps your answer that you're working with. This doesn't take overnight to do. Some people, it took years to finally realize that they were allowing people to take over them and to use them. Some people just took longer than others, and that's okay. But the goal is to now try to wean off of those old habits that are keeping you stagnated. This is not a test. Well, it could be a test for you if you feel like you need to strengthen up who you are as a person. But what I wanted to do is give you questions that will allow you grace and allow you to sit with them. You can even ask people, what do you see in me when you see when I walk through doors? How do I keep myself? How can I want to say is like, what presence do I uphold when you look at me? So asking people how to describe you as a person is helpful because sometimes we miss those gems of ourselves because we're so busy trying to live in this everyday oasis called life that we don't take the time to get to know what or how special we are. So I would challenge you to sit with people that you trust and to really take these questions and use them about yourself and asking, what do you see in me? Do you feel like I am an accepting person? Or allow them to actually truthfully tell you what they see. And you may not take it, you may not receive it, you know? And if you don't, then you need to counteract that and say that this is how I see myself. And that's what you do. And sit with these questions, like I said, and just see what happens. I would love to hear, if any of them did resonate with you, if any of them you would like to say, hey, this is how I am. So we can dive into it together, you know? Um, let's have a dialogue on this. So drop some questions or some concerns or some ideas on, how you can start to, refine or find or introduce or reintroduce yourself to yourself, if that makes any sense. So thank you so much today. I hope this really resonates and I look forward to reading your responses and commenting them as well. And I hope that this finds you, if this finds value to you, please forward it to someone else that you think can really need it. Because It's tough when you don't know who you are as a person and you struggle to make sense of those things. So I'm gonna end there because this is a vibe check.